Hello, everyone. Once again, we are live. Welcome back to the Behind the Lens podcast. My name is Oskar.
And my name is Alex.
All right, so today is going to be very interesting because if you guys would remember, on the last episode, someone asked, it was Laurent, that asked us a question that very inspired us to do this episode. He asked, discuss on one of your pictures, like how you took it and the edits is basically what he said. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. How do we edit our pictures? So we're going to be giving examples on screen. So if you're listening, you can listen. That's definitely a possibility, but it would definitely be very nice if you came over to the YouTube channel and watched this on YouTube so you can see the imagery. But apart from that,
we will try to describe them
yes.
as well, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Because you can still learn a lot through audio, because we're going to be discussing about it, not necessarily only the pictures, but also we're going to be talking about how to basically improve your photography by discussing like concepts and stuff like that. But apart from that, I think let's just get started. So first, we just want to talk about one basic thing about pictures, and that is like the RAW versus JPEG, like kind of debate and argument that's happening. What do you want to say about that?
Well, I guess the general concept is the word RAW. There are two things there. There is a RAW file, and it's coming out straight out of the camera, and it's just like a JPEG image or a PNG image. There is a RAW image, and that's one thing. And also there is a whole big concept of RAW photography, so which I believe was not known 10 years ago. That's a new concept with the new, professional cameras, which is now went widestream, and everyone's using them. And people, not necessarily even professionals, using this term a lot, and they basically going into the editing much more than what they did a few years back.
Yeah.
So
I think that's pretty simple. Yeah.
So that's that. So. Also, let's just, in a simple, brief way, I'll ask you a question. So when do you shoot raw imagery when you're shooting?
This is tricky because really, for me, I almost never shoot raw. For me, the image size is not really worth it for me. I don't know. I just don't feel like it's necessary for me personally. If I was doing something more professional, like shooting weddings, maybe something like that, then maybe I'll do it. Or when I kind of need run and gun and I always need images to come out good, okay, then I can shoot raw.
I would only add this. If, let's say, not wedding, but if I would have a private shoot, any private shoot,
yes,
where you actually know that you already got paid or will be getting paid for the hours you're going to spend, you can benefit from raw imagery tremendously. I mean, I do shoot when I can raw imagery, and I know that's going to be much more time to process that, but to me, that's lots of advantages in having raw on the long run. If you're just shooting and you going to complete your job in 2 days and going to be out of that and now come back to the imagery, that probably does not make that much sense to deal with 40 megapixel images. So that's that.
Yeah, because for me, I don't really shoot raw just because the image size is approximately 3 to 4 times bigger. So that takes up a lot more space. It definitely has a time and place to use, like we just discussed. But for me personally, most of the time, for dance photography at least, I feel like JPEG works just fine.
But I tell you the case basically when the raw makes sense. So if you're shooting raw imagery and let's say you made a mistake on the white balance, that's okay. I don't care if you make a mistake. You can always fix it. So in any editing software like Lightroom, there is a button you can pick. So the camera capturing enough information and understanding that you shot under certain lighting condition, and you can change that condition by just clicking the button. So that data is there. That's why the raw file is 4 or 5 times larger. Same thing with exposition. Same thing with I don't know, the noise of the image. So the data does make sense. In many cases, when you thinking you're going to be using the same image multiple times, and you coming and zooming in into the image, you have many more ways of editing the very same image and processing and getting better results. So that's that.
Yep. I don't want to spend too much time on that because we should move on to the cool stuff that we actually plan here to be. Now we're going to be showing the pictures on screen and we're going to talk all about it. First, we're going to show up. So we both brought 2 pictures here today. We both brought the original and the edited. So let's start with you.
Okay.
The original. Boom.
All right. That image was taken literally like a week ago at the Chicago Crystal Ballroom competitions in Lombard, Illinois. And well, you're looking at the image, and you can barely see what's happening in the well, kind of a back of the image, and you can see the figures in the middle. But under the normal condition, that image may belong to the garbage. And sometimes you're looking at the image like that without even zooming in or enlarging anything, and you're thinking, this is something I don't want at all.
Yeah, like if you just like kind of take a glance at it, you'd be like, this kind of looks like crap, throw it away.
That's okay. I probably have a bit better stuff to deal with anyway.
Yeah.
And let's just jump to the results, and we'll talk about what we've done.
And ready? 3, 2, 1, boom. That's how
there's
that
no way
looks.
to zoom in. Okay, so that image is it's obviously the way the setting works. It's a very saturated, colorful image, and we see very
lots of contrast.
Of contrast, I guess, yes, and lots of expressions in the way the dancers are, acting. So there is lots of emotions and there is lots of interaction, and well, to maybe big surprise or not, but I mean the image, if you still remember the original image where you don't see what's happening, obviously if I wouldn't do the work, if I wouldn't crop the image, if I wouldn't make all of the editing, which we're going to talk about, no one's going to see that image. And actually that image was one of the first images I posted after the crystal ball was complete, and it was really good engagement of the crowd, and the dancers on the image, Alexei and Yelena Minaev, and they are great dancers, I believe, from Ohio. Am I right? I think it's Cleveland, Ohio.
Sure.
Anyway, if I'm mistaken, don't take me to but that's anyway, Anyway, and their reaction to the image was like it was lots of fun. They couldn't believe that actually they're looking at their own faces, and that's giving them the impression that, that was a successful competition. Great, lots of fun. It's definitely a keeper. The image make lots of sense.
But it's kind of crazy because it came from this.
Right.
Which, again, if you kind of just like, he also kind of rotated it and he cropped it in a lot.
Right.
But oh my gosh, this poo-poo. This, amazing.
Go back to the poo-poo.
Okay.
Okay, so what I want to say is this. So sometimes the goal of the photographer is not to take the image like that. Obviously, you're trying to frame much better image than that, but in many cases...
Like in the camera, so you don't have to crop, because then you lose
So basically what you're trying to do, what I was trying to do here, instead of trying to frame and shoot like maybe every 2 or 3 seconds or every second, I thought, hey, why don't I just keep shooting and get more imagery done? So I didn't want to miss the moment. And obviously, well, in this case, my intuition helped me to get this image. So, but again, the goal was not to create the imagery like that. If you obviously trying to get a little closer, so there was a reason. Obviously, I didn't spend the time to zoom in, or maybe I was a little too far. And also, the image is not framed right. And actually, for this explanation, this is perfect example. So, was it framed right? No.
It's a perfect example of what not to do, right?
Of what not to do. But sometimes the results through editing could be some phenomenal results. Anyway. And this image, as a result, I can tell you one thing. It could be easily printed as 5 or 6 feet, basically, real scale. I mean, I guess Alexei is taller than 6 feet, but anyway, you can print pretty nice large print out of that.
Yeah.
So also just the technicalities. Do we care for technicalities on that as far as image size and stuff? I think I was not even shooting, not like I was not shooting RAW. I was not even shooting at 45 megapixel. I was shooting at 22 megapixel.
Oh yeah, because he uses the R5, which has a 45 megapixel sensor, which is really big. So I think we decided not to do that just because I think it's a bit too much megapixels to kind of deal with. It's a lot of data, because especially when you're shooting literally 15,000 images, that's a lot of data to go through. So you really, it's not, plus it's not necessary. 45 megapixels, you would never give that to a client unless, I mean, in dance photography. But let's talk that.
And yet, if I would have a private shoot,
you would.
I would shoot RAW and I would shoot 45 megapixel.
But we're talking about this specific dance photography.
We're talking about dance photography in this case. And it's basically a mass production photography. So you shoot, not mass production in a sense, in a bad sense, but we are shooting lots of imagery. There are lots of dancers on the floor at the same time. Every 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes, they changing the dance. They go to the next hit every time, and you have to capture lots of imagery. So you have to sacrifice on I guess. Not on the quality. I don't want to say we're sacrificing on the quality. We're sacrificing on the image size in future computer processing.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Okay, next picture. I'm going to do my picture, so we're going to alternate here. Okay, I'm going to do my picture. This is the original. Boom. Oh. Okay, so this is Nick and Paulina.
Okay.
Okay. This is at Wisconsin, and this image kind of doesn't look so great, as you can see. Can you see that?
I can see great composition.
Yes. I'll get to that. But, so essentially, I started loving wide angles, which you'll see in another picture. Wide angles are fantastic, especially for dance, because it gives a new perspective, new and fresh perspective, which usually a 7200 cannot give, usually. But in this case, I was like kneeling on the ground. They perfectly framed right in front of me, so I didn't have to like tilt to the side or anything like that. I was shooting perfectly straight, which the composition and the lines lined up perfectly.
Right.
Which is great. And nice position, everything was beautiful. Okay, and now I'm going to show you the edited. This took me a lot of time to edit, because if you can see, their faces are kind of weird color because they're in the darkness.
Right.
Which was kind of not nice of the competition to do such a big dark area. Right. But you know what? You got to deal with it. So then, this, boom. This is cropped for Instagram, but look at that. Look at that difference. Oh, boom, the boom.
So what features of the, like what through the editing, what did you do? Did you up the saturate? I mean, what features did you do? Go like step by step. What do you do first?
So, I don't know if it was like 6 months ago, a year ago, Lightroom introduced something absolutely incredible. The subject detection mask. Okay, and the subject detection mask is super amazing. Basically, you go into the mask and you press select subject. It takes like 3 seconds. Boom. It selects a subject automatically for you.
Yeah.
It usually makes very little mistakes. And if it does, you can just brush it away. No big deal. It's so much easier than trying to mask it out. It takes you such a long time. I'm sure you know, like masking out sucks.
So, manual, yes.
Manually, it sucks.
Basically, majority of my experience, I do it in Photoshop. It's the same way. It's a click of a button. It's selecting the figure or the face.
Which it sucks because it takes especially in dance when there's lots of there might be hair sticking out. There might be lots of individual fingers sticking out. There might be lots of individual dress parts that are not always connected to the body. Like here, there's something drooping down from the dress, which is quite tedious to mask out. But here, boom, one click and it's selected everything for you. And then what I did is I darkened the background slightly, this is what I do with a lot of images that the subject is too dark, is I lower the exposure of the entire image and then a little bit, and then up them and up the mask a lot when it comes to the exposure. And then, I can kind of tweak it from there. And also what I like
you're making the figures lighter, brighter.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And then what I do from there is, especially for dance, because the guys wear black a lot, which can be very difficult, especially in our experience, very difficult for these cameras to resolve the darker areas.
Right.
So what we do is up the shadows a lot by like 30 or 40, like quite a lot.
Right. And
So that's more
actually,
detail.
I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I feel like the mirrorless cameras not doing as good of a job as far as shooting black, making it a little blotchy. So you have to manually,
Like dynamic range, basically.
right? The dynamic range is not quite there, and you have to. But there is obviously, if you shoot large enough images, if you shoot raw, you can play with a slider, basically, like you said, brighten up the shadows.
Exactly.
And it works. And you're doing extra step by selecting basically masking the subject. So
yeah, but it's super easy.
Right.
Because it's boom, 1 click, 3 seconds, and you're done.
Yep.
I love that feature, and they're introducing it into. It's not introducing. It's already in, Photoshop. It's already in that, so that's super nice.
Okay.
Okay, so now let me go.
Let me just say one thing.
Sure.
Like as much as we work together a lot, I do not use that feature a lot. I barely never use it. But what do? I do have another little preset program installed in my Lightroom, which is called ON1, ON1. And that program has multiple presets which are doing absolutely phenomenal. The very same job for you. It takes 10 seconds to open Photoshop or ON1, but and I trust. Basically, I'm learning my presets, and since they're already pre-made, I just use that. But the result is basically the target. What we're doing is the same thing. The goal is the same. Brighten up the image a little bit.
Yeah, so ON1, it's just on1.com. That's it, if you want to check it out.
Yep.
I've never used it, but Alex really likes it, so that's great.
Well, some of those presets are way better than the Lightroom presets. And Lightroom presets, you can open the, let's say, some set presets that is 01, 02, 03, 023. So they are not sticking to my head. I don't remember which one I use.
That's true.
The other one is
Their
classifying them certain way,
yeah.
And you making a little bit better selection. Anyway, maybe that's just a habit of what I used in the past for the last year or two, and that's how I operate, and that's a process. Doesn't matter. There is no two photographers doing exactly the same thing, so that's just absolutely no like good or bad, or it's good what you're doing for you, and it's good what I'm doing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And there are multiple things we can do.
Yes, of course. All right, so let's move on to your picture now.
Okay.
Boom.
All right, so this picture, again, crystal ball, literally from last, I want to say Saturday. So, again, it's kind of framed correctly. It's also, by the way, the wide lens, 105, 24 to 105. The one Oskar was saying how we like to be setting the camera low, almost like I would say a foot and a half from the ground, and shooting up to the people. And basically, the way that technique works, you're not pinning your camera after the people. You're kind of almost waiting for people to show up, and or at least that's what I do in my frame.
Basically, yes.
So you might
pan a little bit, obviously, but
pan a little bit just to frame it a little bit more correct. But really, since it's a wide angle, you can fit lots of action in that frame, lots of composition in that frame. And also, I don't know if you agree or not, but it's there is certain dances where we're using this technique. It's American Smooth is probably one of them.
That style is definitely...
That style is fitting the wide angle shooting, at least between two of us, we totally agree to that.
Definitely.
And we do know other photographers who do that as well.
Yeah, like
I know
Steven Marino likes to
Steven
shoot
Marino
very wide always.
does the same thing, and he's actually, I think, well, again, I think he's going for a little bit of a more wild things to happen in his viewfinder, basically. So he likes some subjects to be, really like in front.
Mhm.
And I bet he's shooting probably not just 4.0, he probably shooting, I don't know, probably 5.6 or even 7.
We're talking about aperture here,
Aperture,
which
right.
is
Right. So
if the number goes higher, that means the shallow depth of field kind of diminishes, so more stuff is in focus.
So he's compensating basically if he wants the front, what's in front and what's in the back, both being in focus, you have to up the number a little bit.
But then you lose some light, which can suck.
Right.
All right, now let's see the edited 3.
And so what? Yeah.
Sorry?
What did we do here? Okay.
Boom.
So the composition didn't change much, but basically that was very, very simple. And we are looking for simple, believe it or not. I mean, no one wants to spend purposely hours editing. So this was like 5 seconds edit, which is, from what I believe, I just up the up the
Exposure?
What?
Exposure?
Exposure, correct. Yeah, so exposure went up probably a couple steps. In the way I do it, I just visually assess what I'm doing. It's one slider, and you just and if you're getting pretty close to the results, you may, when you after using that slider, you may go back and you may play with colors a little bit if it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
So, and that's it basically. So with 1 or 2 clicks, you're getting the results. Well, pretty, not only acceptable results, I think pretty good results. And if the dancers, again, it's much easier as always, take the pictures of the professionals versus amateur.
Mhm.
But I mean, those movements are so, I don't know, finalized, or so, I don't know, what's the word?
The professionals?
Right.
Yeah, they're just much more
They-
they're much more photogenic. Like each
I don't think it's photogenic. Anyone can be photogenic, but they are practiced so much.
like
and they-
every position that you catch them
Right,
in pretty much is going to look good.
Right. So basically, the way they do it, they've put so much work into their dance, and they practice so much that basically it's like a 360 sculpture. You can rotate that thing around, and every frame will look awesome. So, or at least the percentage of those frames looking good will be amazingly high versus
Like obviously like a super beginner obviously has not nearly put in the amount of hours, which is okay. But then
it's absolutely fine.
yeah,
I mean,
but we're just saying as from a photographer standpoint that sometimes it can be much harder to photograph and get a super amazing image out of a person who's like more of a beginner.
it's a completely
Which makes-
different. To me, this is a completely different approach. Let's say if I'm shooting, let's do the extreme. Kids. If I shoot 5, 6, 7 years old kids and they're dancing on the floor, you're not expecting them to do some amazing
tricks or
movements. But so you're going for a little bit more of close-ups, and you're going for a little bit more of cuteness of the image,
Yeah,
or
then
cuteness of the model.
Yeah, then as a photographer, you gotta experiment with a more like portrait kind of a looking shots with like super close up headshots, more wide angle, more like extreme angles, like maybe tilting it on purpose.
So with kids, I'm not going to use the wide lens at all, because that just to me this
too
just
small.
doesn't make sense. Actually, 70 to 200 becoming like very. I mean, even the kids comes very close to photographer, so you can be shooting literally like someone can be dancing like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 feet in front of you. It's very close,
especially
to
the super
photographer.
little kids. Yeah.
If those are adults, I kind of gave up, and I'm not even shooting because it's too close for the camera to focus on anything, even with a wide angle. With kids, on the contrary, they're much smaller in size, and it's I'm getting a full figure image. It's a little bit different, but again, you're not shooting wide angle. I'm shooting with much with more like a 2.8 versus 4.0. And getting a little bit more interest in the image itself. So I have to go for some blurry background and much sharper the image, or I'm waiting for the kids to make a cute grimace, I guess, on their faces. I don't know if the grimace word comes applied to kids,
like
but
like a nice smile or something.
expression, yes. So I'm waiting for the kids, and I'm watching for the kids to be, well, cute.
Yeah.
And they do that. I'm not expecting them to do some phenomenal movement, but so it's a different photography a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. All right.
You have one more image, right?
Yes, we have one more image, and that is going to be mine.
Okay.
Now this is one of my favorite 10 shots I think I've ever shot. This is from North American Imperial Star Ball.
Yes.
Which is run by Katusha Demidova. Nice person.
Like the way you're pronouncing her name.
Is that good?
It's close enough. Close enough. I understand what you said. So it's Katusha Demidova.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, that's close enough.
Yeah. Okay. Russian accent's hard.
Right.
Okay. So this shot. So I kind of didn't like the colors in this shot. I don't know if you can see. It's a little bit awkward, the colors.
Right.
Like on her face. Which, the people in this photo are Natalie and Andrei Paramanov. They're super great dancers. But her face is a little bit too magenta. And you can turn it more green to kind of cancel out that fact. But it can kind of be hard to do that. So basically, I was like, screw it.
So
black and white.
What did you do? Okay, here we go. That's actually very interesting. Yes.
Yeah. And again, I did the same thing. I selected the subject. I don't know if you noticed, but I also increased the contrast. I did this a long time ago, so I don't exactly remember, but I can just tell. I upped the contrast. And also, the super nice thing about this image is the lens flare. Like, you can actually see the lens flare coming through here. I really love it.
That's cool results anyway. I mean, what can I say? I mean, this
was shot with my old camera.
Okay. Well, I mean,
so
you don't have the camera anymore, right?
No, I sold it.
Lucky you.
Why?
Yeah, it's hard to sell nowadays.
That's true. I managed Facebook Marketplace.
I think that the market on those cameras. I mean, you can people buying new stuff.
It was like because I take care of my gear. So it looked like I cleaned it. It looked like brand spanking.
Brand new, yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Makes sense.
And I sold that at a really good
someone
price.
got a bargain because they bought it for what, half price from what you would buy it in the store, right?
I paid $1,300 for that. It's a 60 Mark II is the camera we're talking about. I paid around $1,300 for it. I sold it for like $900.
That's pretty good. Good deal actually for you.
Yeah, I would like more out of it, but yes. That's okay.
And probably a good deal for the person who bought it.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to just add a couple more things. So the photographer, when you're editing, you're looking at the pictures, and in many cases, you're looking at the entire image. Then you have a really quick way, or it's literally one click to zoom in and out. You can zoom to 100%. You can zoom to 200%. It's the way the photographers are different, how close they can get in or want to get in. And basically, sometimes you're realizing that, out of that image, I can get the wide angle. I can get a couple details. I can get the hand detail if the detail is there. And at the same time, you have to realize how messy is the background. And that's what Oskar did on this image. Basically, he just decided, okay, I don't want to deal with all this multiple various things. Sometimes to simplify your life, simplify the life of the photographer, but also getting absolutely phenomenal results, because black and whites are super classy, super likable by many people. It's basically timeless photography. So you're killing two things at once. You don't have to deal with the differences, with the mess on the background, and also you're achieving just the phenomenal results in no time at all by selecting, going from color to black and white.
Yeah.
So
also, sometimes, not every single picture will work as a black and white.
Oh, I'm glad you're saying that.
Yeah, not every picture, but some do, and when they do, they really work.
Yeah, because
like this image.
Right. I just had this conversation with one of the people who bought imagery, and they said, I really like your black and whites.
Yeah.
Can you convert a couple other ones to black and white? And since they already paid paid for the imagery, I said I didn't say yes. I said let me look, and basically for the reason I converted only few to black and white because the other ones didn't look good. And well,
Yeah.
unfortunately, in that case, I maximized the number of images in black and white for the person who liked them, but I couldn't convert them all because half of them is going to look like garbage anyway. Or it would take so much time to actually find the right black and white conversion of the image. But anyway,
And also, sometimes you would want to convert to black and white if the colors kind of will not really work out. Like in this image a little bit. See how the colors, I could make this work in color,
yeah.
but I don't think it would be as effective as an image as the black and white.
Right. No, but some
my opinion.
some imagery I've got from my probably one of the first competitions I shot ever. I think it was 2018 Windy City or 2017 Windy City when the Oksana and Pasha were performing at the very end on Saturday.
Yes, I remember this.
And people asking me, I have a series of black and whites developed, and in fact, another couple of the dress designers asked me if I can provide what did I do to the color originals, and I said, well, they don't exist in color. And what I meant that they look like garbage in color, not garbage, but they don't look half as good as the black and whites.
Sometimes yes, that happens.
So in some cases, yes, are you shooting color? Yes, you are shooting color, but some imagery basically can only exist in black and white,
which can suck.
Well, yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah.
All right. I think. Do you want to go over some of the basics of Lightroom?
I just basically want to go over the list of editing. So. One more time. So when you're getting multiple imagery, what do you do first? You reviewing the imagery. You're not coming close to every image. You have, let's say, 100 or 1,000 of images or 500 images. And
the first thing you do is you import them into the computer, and it's called culling.
Right.
When you kind of just like look through and delete or highlight the things that are good, delete the things that are bad. It's just
so
stuff
in what cases I want you to reiterate, like what are you deleting? Let's say what images are you deleting, not to deal with 500. Let's say you want to delete 100 garbage or whatever. Or what is the garbage image? What images are you deleting when you do that?
So basically, instant deletes, instant gone is out of focus. Out of focus. Absolute trash, gone right away. I see it.
Can you get us?
I can spot it from a mile away.
I want us to see us on the screen.
Right, so I can see from a mile away, out of focus.
Right. So when you see the real thumbnail of that image on 2x2 on the screen, and you have multiple images, you're just selecting those out of focus, and unless once in a blue moon, the out of focus image may be looking like art. It does happens. But as a general rule,
literally 1 in a million, I would say.
Right. But I've seen it. But generally speaking, yes. If you basically between you and camera, you messed up on focusing and you don't have anything in focus, there is no point of keeping an image. Any other reasons?
If there is some, you can say, body parts that are showing that we don't really want to show, like the crotch.
Okay. All right. So those images are gone.
Yes, absolutely, right away. Or like, for the women's, like the front part, if that kind of starts showing, then obviously that's like immediately gone.
Okay.
Because we don't want to be doing that.
Right.
Apart from that, everything else can pretty much go, unless it's like super like. But now we're talking about kind of like what we just talked about before, which is like if I show you this image again, like the first image we talked about, like this one, I don't know if I would throw it away, but I would be like, it's not going to turn out anything good.
I mean, when I see 20, 30 images of the same couple, let's say on the dance floor, I may throw it away. But in this case, I'm lucky I didn't, and I actually take a second look and clicked on that and zoomed in 100%, so I saved the image. So that was batch image review and basically selection and deleting. Oskar said correct. It's a call. It's called calling. If anyone interested in the professional terminology.
CULL.
Yes. Call. So next, again, we show you a few examples of how we use the framing and composition. Obviously, when you are shooting, you're trying for the best composition. And again, the best composition is
subjective.
So I may have an idea for the for the framing composition, and he may look at my composition and he say, "Hey, okay, that's an old-fashioned, old thinking. I don't like it. So let's rotate it or something. Let's do different composition." So it is subjective, but in any case, that's where we're starting when we're shooting imagery, and also when we're editing, we're also dealing with composition as well. Because let's say me personally, I like to create multiple images from the same image.
And I don't really do that.
Okay, well, see, that's
They have
and again,
different styles.
it's a personal preferences. And sometimes, funny enough, someone would come to me and say, "Hey, can I have this image re-exported as something huge?" And I go back to the imagery, and believe it or not, I didn't save that in my Lightroom. Okay, so I have the original image, but I didn't save the framing I did. And I said, well, I can eyeball it, but really, it's not exactly what you're asking. So okay, well, let's just go real quick. So another thing, what we show you, another feature, we show you that the white balance and color correction is another thing what you do when you edit. And I don't know if you do that a lot or not, or are you relying
color correction?
Are you relying, actually, believe it or not, the crystal ball which we shot together?
Yeah.
So we did use outer white balance, right? That's
I didn't.
Sure, you used my settings on the camera.
I think I took it off.
No way. It was still there. I'm almost positive.
In my opinion, auto white balance sucks. Sometimes I don't trust the camera. I'm sorry. I just don't. I shoot full manual. Everything is manual. So exposure when it comes to like shutter speed.
Okay.
And also white balance. I don't trust the camera enough because sometimes it can be super blue. And in JPEG, you can't really fix it. So shot's nice. White balance is super off, unrepairable.
Okay.
What can you do?
Certain things like this, I agree with everything what he's saying, but in my taste, like outer white balance actually works pretty well. Camera does pretty good job to me, and I do trust that. I don't trust outer ISO. That's never works for me. But the white balance does work. So
I mean,
okay.
Like we said last one, auto ISO, it kind of brought you down to like 100 and didn't work.
Right. Another thing under the same tag. So we were talking still white balance and color saturation. So again, this is very subjective. So sometimes the easiest way to make the garbage image looks good, it's oversaturated, and it's all of a sudden. Again,
Do you know why it looks better? Because actually, to the human eye, more saturated colors are brighter.
Right. The first impression would be just pop, boom, and people getting really good results. And also, if you
don't overdo it.
Right. Well, in many cases,
sometimes you can
maybe it is overdone.
You can be too happy and like bring the slide a little bit too far.
So now my next thing on the list here on iPhone is the tone adjustments. I'm not sure you do the tone adjustments. Oh, we talked about brightening the shadows and stuff. We talked a little bit about that.
Yes, brightening the shadows is very important, especially in dance photography, at least. So you can kind of get more detail within the dresses and the costumes of the guy, especially because it's usually black. So that's very important to kind of bring up the shadows.
Another thing I was noticing every time I'm shooting is I want your opinion, because you are actually dancing and you're a dancer and you're probably dealing with more of understanding of what colors. Let's say, okay, I wish we would have a lady here to ask that question. But basically, in many cases, certain colors, when I'm shooting, let's say yellow dresses, in many cases, it's very, very difficult to find the right tone quality to show the lights in medium tones. So we're not talking shadows, we're talking light.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying, in the certain lighting conditions, certain colors may be a challenge for me to shoot and probably for camera to shoot, because in many cases,
like super dark reds can be quite hard.
It's not even necessarily reds. It's certain, I can't explain it. It just, in many cases, the image, let's say the dress, will be very, very, very blotchy, and it's very difficult to fix that. Anyway, just want to mention it. That's all. Let's move to the next. So exposure correction, we already talked about. It's a very basic one of the first things you do to keep the image or not.
Make sure the image is bright enough. That's it.
Right. That's it. And again, always remember that people will have different devices to look at your image. So the entire editing is not meant to be like a perfect anything final on your computer.
Because if perfect for you does not mean perfect on anything else.
Right.
Because some people's phones have different calibrations on their screen, which can be kind of hard to.
Right. So people actually
colors
looking
look different,
at the
basically.
very same image, but it's actually the different image. So
Yes.
iPhone, I actually like iPhone the way they calibrated, but between
Mhm.
my Mac 27-inch computer, we talked about this
Yeah, the
earlier,
M1.
and the one I have here, there is a difference on the screen qualities. And well, believe it or not, it's just different, So my laptop, which is latest and greatest, is not as good as my 5 years old 27-inch iMac screen. So
We're talking about the screen, obviously.
yeah, we're talking about the screen. So, but yeah, you're using the screen anyway to view the imagery. So that's that.
Presets.
Now we're talking about presets.
I love presets, especially for black and white when you can just, I mean, not only for black, I'm sorry, for everything. It's super nice. Actually, for Crystal Ball, which we've been talking a lot, we actually created a few presets, which can be very useful because then we could just bulk edit. I just Control C, and then I had to go right click and press a few things and paste, and boom, everything is like, again, I brought up the shadows a little bit, brought down the highlights, brought up the exposure a little bit, some contrast, basically like sharpen up the image a little bit,
Right.
and then after that, just bulk edit, and you're basically did most of the editing
The
there.
interesting thing about presets that we're going to go to the next competition or the next set of lighting anywhere, and those presets may need to be
Adjusted.
adjusted,
Obviously,
tweaked a little
yes.
bit, because the actually in honestly, like as I was shooting at the Crystal Ball, I thought that was the best, at least in the Chicagoland or in the Midwest, lighting ever. The best lighting
I
set
would agree.
ever. And when I went back to the editing portion on the computer, I kind of questioned the same sentence what I just said. Okay, I was not as somehow
It was pretty good.
I expected better, and that better wasn't there. So I thought almost I was tricked being being at the competition versus when I start editing being at home. So it's kind of a really odd thing a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, all I'm saying that is that yes, different plays going to be different lighting set, and presets will be need to have some adjustments. Anyway, you want to talk a little bit about, I don't know if you do Photoshop much, or basically we're moving from general editing or preliminary editing to the final editing. And
I never really Photoshop.
you never Photoshop. Okay.
Not necessarily, not because I don't want to. I just don't feel like I have to. And pretty much.
Well, let's say you shot the image, and the image of the head of the person is touching the very top of the frame. What the hell do you do? I mean, it's not a good framing anyway. So you want a little space.
Nothing.
Don't you go?
For me, I don't really do
So you're
anything.
throwing away the image, or the image is
I
staying
just shoot
away.
better in the first place.
Okay, all right, that
mean-
sounds good. I do use Photoshop a little bit.
It's a very powerful tool.
And basically, it's I've done lots of photoshopping in the past. Now I'm doing very little photoshopping, but
Because it's time consuming.
it's very time consuming, and usually when you're doing batch processing, you never have time. So unless someone pre-order, let's say, 5-footer print, and you want that print to be perfectly framed in certain way, and you may actually be missing portion of the image, and you Photoshop it in. Basically, the your image is 2:3 proportion, and let's say the image you're shooting is printing is, I don't know, 24 by 32 or something, and
Yeah.
you're missing
Some weird
something on the
aspect
side.
ratio.
Yeah, right. So I may actually go in, and is a trick the viewer. I can just grab the right side of the image and stretch it a little bit. No one's gonna ever notice that, but basically I'm playing with an image. I'm distorting a little bit certain portions of the image to fit the certain frame, or you photoshopping in a little bit. You adding a little bit on the right or on the top of the image, and you basically photoshopping in a little bit of an image. So I do that occasionally, but I'm trying not to. Again, but sometimes you just
right.
you're stuck to that. All right, what else do we have? Break the rules I have on the list.
Sure.
So,
How would you break the rules?
okay. So, okay, I want to say this. So I'm shooting, let's say, okay, I'm shooting whole day, and I'm shooting manuals, and you're shooting manuals as well.
Yeah.
And you're looking at your back screen of the camera or the viewfinder. You check your image, and you have certain expectations. You got certain results right away, and that's the beauty of the modern photography, that you kind of getting the results right away. You know what you're shooting, and yet when you come home and you bring those images on the computer and you start editing, I am amazed sometimes with what I see. Unexpected is happening. So basically, it's beyond of what you know. You use the certain settings. It's beyond of what the camera shot and what you saw through the viewfinder. And sometimes you're getting absolutely phenomenal and absolutely unexpected results, and you're looking at them, and you just by accident move your, let's say, shift something. You're trying different composition, and boom, it's a piece of art. And that piece of art is, I mean, I'm really like, I guess I'm easy to surprise. I am surprised to, and I always want to be. I'm waiting till I come to edit to be surprised.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing lots of, well, new things. And again, it's not explain breaking rules, but sometimes, okay, sometimes I guess it will sound stupid, but let's say when you have to switch from shooting action on the dance floor to someone asking you to do the portraiture in the corridor outside of the ballroom. Sometimes, believe it or not, I do very non-professional thing. I'm switching my dial to auto, and
Hey, you know what?
and
For that, it
and,
works, maybe.
and that works perfect. And I let camera figure out the rest. But that I only have like 30 seconds to shoot 5 images of someone or some group of people, and that's what I do. Believe it or not, I switch to. I don't have 20 seconds to look at the camera settings and test something. And believe it or not, cameras are very, very smart these days. And
That's true.
but really, with anywhere else from what I just described, that breaking a rule and professional photographer going to the manual setting, which is auto, is a no things. So professionals don't do that. But under the circumstances, I mean, listen.
Under very certain niche circumstances, it can definitely be quite useful.
It's the same thing as many people will come to you and say, "Hey, can I ask you? Here's my phone. Take a picture." What do? I mean, do you set up anything? No, you just
take
just
it.
framing it and click the button. In that iPhone, for someone, is a great memory. Again, in many other cases, also, I just crossed my mind some goofiest things. So people come to me and say, "Hey, well, I don't want to sign up for the package. I don't want you to do any work. I need the image now. Can we get like something today to look at today?" And again, they're not committing to the, like, for me to follow all the time and stuff. And I go, "Listen, okay, here's you have iPhone, right? Or you have a phone. Okay, this is your job." And that's, I think it's okay. It's being honest, really. So if you want instant photography, I'm not competing to you as an iPhone photographer. So be my guest.
Exactly.
Take the shot and look at your results and say, "Hey, I did a great job, or I did a bad job." So that's it.
Yep. Okay. We got through that.
Okay.
All right. Now let's answer some questions. Okay. First question. Is there a different kind of camera required for taking videos versus photos? I want to answer this.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes and no. Because most DSLR and mirrorless cameras can take amazing pictures and amazing videos. But if you want to take your video game to the next level, then you can buy something like a cinema camera.
Cool.
So like something called the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. There's a 4K and a 6K version. That doesn't shoot photos. It's a strictly video camera only. It's around $1,500 or $2,000. I don't remember exactly the price.
Plus the lens.
Oh yes, that was just the body. Yes, and oh sorry. and it's very useful for video. If you want to get extreme video, this is it. Like, this is how you do it. It's 1300 for the 4K version. Like, this is professional video right here. But it doesn't shoot photos, so there's sometimes there's more photo-centric versus video-centric cameras. Like Sony, I feel like Sony mirrorless is more video.
More video, yeah, absolutely, yes.
Right? Versus Canon, I feel like is just a hybrid. I feel like it's great at both.
But I mean, right now you're using your camera to do the video.
Exactly. Right now I'm using
and you're using your R6 to shoot the video. My video basically on my R5 is, but it's almost disabled. So I never do that. So it's a purposely. I think it's too long to switch to the video, and I never use that camera for the video. You know, if I need to shoot a little clip of something, believe it or not, again, not professional results, but my iPhone, handheld iPhone, and I'm pretty good.
It works.
Well, it works. It works better for in most cases than actually the professional video, mass professional video, let's say.
Yeah. But actually, I have used the R6 as a normal video camera. I shot Platinum Dance Sport Challenge, I think it's called, some shorts. So I shot vertically, and I shot some shorts. And it was actually, I love the quality. Obviously, the quality is amazing. It can shoot 4K, which is my...
Is that what you were shooting or not?
No, well, I was 1080p.
No, just
4K is not necessary. Plus the file sizes are like cute.
Okay.
But it can shoot 120 FPS, 1080p.
Okay.
So you can get some slow motion in there too.
So you can, again, what's the purpose? Explain in one sentence why would you shoot 120 versus
anything else,
30 or something.
So essentially, if you shoot at a higher frame rate, then you can slow it down. So 30 is like the standard frame rate, 30 frames per second or FPS. And then if you shoot 120, that goes 4 times. So basically, it's 4 times slower than real time. If you're playing back at 30 frames.
You're not losing quality when you're slowing down your video, basically. And the slow motion effects are very, very popular these days. So this is a common thing to do, to shoot something like, well, either 60, I don't know, but 120, that's kind of crazy. But anyway, yeah, if you're shooting something like that with intention of slowing down your motion, it does make sense anyway. Yeah. So this ability of the new cameras to do 4K or 8K, I mean, it could be useful not just for professionals, for basically anyone.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully that answered your question. And next question: when did you realize you want to do photography? Alex?
Are you talking about you, me,
both of us?
Okay. When I realized I was always doing photography, believe it or not, many years ago, I immigrated in '89, and I was a kid, not a kid, but anyway, I brought the camera with me. That was a professional camera. Actually, I brought 2 different models.
How about this? How did you actually get into photography? Like, when did you first take a real picture? Like real photography, not like home photography. I'm talking like real, like
professional. You're talking professional photography? Like I was working for the
like not like phone photography. Obviously, like phone photography didn't exist back then, right? But like
on my let's say
like
for many years, I was working for the major architectural and engineering firm, and I was doing lots of projects, like multi-million-dollar projects. And what you need to do, every project would start with photo shoot and video shoot. So we would hire a helicopter. It usually would be like a little small, like a 2-door thing or 4-door thing for 4-seater. And we would take the doors off. We would get on the helicopter, and we would shoot some oblique images of the future project sites.
Yeah.
So that was probably my first professional interaction with photography, because back then I didn't have photographers. Later on, I hired photographers, so I had a team of photographers, videographers, editors, writers, and stuff like marketing people and stuff like that. But in the very beginning, I was the guy who was supposed to take the camera get on that helicopter, study the site, and basically knowing what angles and where I'm shooting and what my coverage is. And those images would be used for, like I said, billion-dollar projects. So those final renderings of the 3D model superimposed on the background image, well, better be good. Better be good enough to win that job. So if you don't get good result, you just basically can't convince your client that you know what you're doing. So that was basically my first interaction with actually professional photography.
All right. And for me, basically, I think it's much more simple than that for me. Essentially, what happened was I was at a competition, actually Wisconsin, and I saw someone with a camera. Like, I don't know if it was the official photographer, but whatever. I started researching some cameras, and then I was like, oh, I really want this. So then I would want to do this, and I started like researching photography because this is the modern age. It's YouTube. I learned basically all I know from YouTube videos. I spent a few months, probably 3-4 months, just constantly watching YouTube videos to learn the basics of photography, all that stuff. And then I bought my first camera on my birthday. This was 2017, on my birthday. And then the rest is history, I guess.
Interesting, because this is interesting what you just said. So I was doing professional photography for the big corporation for probably first, I'd say 10, 12 years. I've used their camera equipment and stuff. I never bought a professional camera until much, much later.
Yeah.
So that's really odd now as I'm thinking of that. But basically, back in the days, I had, well, almost unlimited budget was what I was buying. So this was not like my personal, like I'm worrying about spending $1,000 or not. So we had multiple cameras. We have multiple video cameras, professional equipment. We had some microphones. We had some lavalier, little mics to do the interviews. We've done lots of equipment. I've got drones later on, but anyway.
That's fun.
But anyway, until probably 10, 12, 15 years of doing photography, I actually for the first time spent money on my own camera.
Wow.
It was fairly recent history. Recent.
Was it film or digital?
That was film or digital? No, that was basically digital. Yeah.
Okay.
It was recent stuff. But I mean, I had non-professional cameras. I mean, that was. In any way, when I many years ago, my dad gave me the very old model of Leica German-made camera with 58 millimeters. That was just I still have the cam, but it's a 35 millimeter frame. Frame cam. It's a cool thing to have. I wish I would have it now, but anyway, I think it's much cooler camera looking than this. But anyway. All right.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it for today, right?
All right. Yeah.
I think we've exhausted everything that we needed for today.
Right, and we covered lots of ground.
Yeah, and today's episode was based on a question. So again, please always feel free to post some questions. But I think apart from that, I want to tell you, there's going to be an upcoming project of ours that we're also going to have a whole podcast episode about. It's going to be super fun. I'm not at liberty to discuss exactly what it is yet, but you guys are going to better watch out for it. In the next month or so, I think, right, is going to be like a big project that we're going to post to YouTube. It's going to be a full-length YouTube video, and then we're going to be talking about it here on the podcast. So the next episode after that video drops, the next podcast episode will be about that YouTube video. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just can't wait. Okay, so guys, be sure to subscribe, stick around for that. In about a month, it's going to be posted. Can't wait for that. But apart from that, I think that's it for today.
Yeah, I think we covered lots of good things, and it was fun to chat anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, send us more questions. We would be very excited to answer more questions you may have.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think apart from that, I'll see you guys in like 2 weeks. See ya.